It is closely linked because we assume it is Hamas operatives that shot the rocket. They get their orders from Hamas leadership in Gaza. Hamas has been building these capabilities in Lebanon for a long time. We saw shooting of rockets also last year in the operation in May. So yes, it's closely linked, and overall I would say that the Palestinians are taking the issue of Al-Aqsa, this blood label, they choose to deal with again and again, accusing Israel of changing the status quo, and trying to incite the whole region, including countries like Jordan and Saudi Arabia and so on.
Well, the rocket didn't hurt anybody, didn't hit anything. Was this a deliberate miss, do you think? Was this more about sending a message?
Well, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because these rockets are not very accurate. The north, of course, it's not as densely populated as the center of Israel, but still there are quite a few towns and cities in the north. And when you shoot, you don't really know exactly where the rocket will fall, and it definitely can hurt people. So obviously this needs a response. And at the end of the day, first of all, is the government of Lebanon irresponsible. This is their country, it's a sovereign state, and they're responsible for anything that happens in Lebanon. But we must understand that also Hezbollah was in control of vast areas in Lebanon, especially the south. Nothing happens there without Hezbollah consent. So also Hezbollah, in one way or another, is involved here.
Well, right. What is Hezbollah's stance on this? And are there concerns that this could fuel a confrontation with the group?
Well, first of all, overall, there is an ongoing campaign against Zionism and against the state of Israel. And there is an understanding that what can unite all the fractions, including, by the way, parts of the Israeli Arab society, is the issue of Al-Aqsa. And it has been like that for 100 years. It's not something new. But somehow they manage again and again to incite different fractions and create an escalation. This is very, very dangerous, and Israel must be ready at all times for any scenario, which might be like we saw last year.
Lebanon, though, is in a very fragile state right now, with a worsening economic and political crisis going on. It's unlikely, isn't it, that Hezbollah would want to trigger a major conflict with Israel?
Well, it's true that Lebanon is suffering from many, many problems, but at the end of the day, we need to understand it's Iran and Hezbollah who are basically controlling Lebanon. Therefore, decision-making in Lebanon is affected by Iranian decision-making of what they want. And they want to confront Israel. And they build a big militia in Lebanon. They are building militias in Iraq and in Yemen, and of course in other places as well. And by the way, last year they tried to shoot Israel from Yemen and from Iraq, and they're shooting from Yemen and from Iraq also the Gulf states. So this is an ongoing Iranian campaign, and Iranians are spreading their capabilities around the Middle East and building a huge force. And if, God forbid, they will get this agreement, this JCPOA agreement, and hundreds of billions of dollars will be released to the Iranians, we'll see a huge escalation in capabilities and possibly a war in the Middle East.
Amir Avivi, thank you very much indeed for joining us.